Today I'm going to show you how to draw a tree. All you need for this exercise is a pencil, a pen, and some paper. This is the tree that I'm planning to draw. I'm using it as my subject. It is one that's just on the corner, just down the street from my house. And it's a ginkgo tree, and of course it's fall because you can tell by the color of the leaves. This little bit here is a different tree in the background, but we're going to just do this one, and I separated it out using some feature on the iPhone, I don't know what it's called, just to see the shape of the tree. Now, trees come in all shapes and sizes, as you know, but it helps to have just a rough outline, or at least an idea of what we're looking at. So I thought I would start with a pencil and just do a kind of a simple outline with a little bit of a plan. So I'm going to just put that down and just start with this. I'm using a 2H pencil, which is a harder one. And if this isn't exact, it doesn't matter a bit. It doesn't matter to me, probably doesn't matter to you at all. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter a whit, as they say. Now I can't really see the trunk of the tree here because this procedure took it off, but I can see here that it comes down like this, spreads out quite quickly, and it's not a great big trunk for such a full tree. It's actually not a very big tree, but it looks so big on top that it's a little bit deceiving, and it's in sort of a circular planter unit here. So I'll just put some of those lines in to kind of anchor it down. The curb comes around like this, and then the street goes on there. Okay, I have set this so that it won't turn off on me every few minutes. Okay, to start with, I'm just going to take my pen, and this is a Micron 05 Pigma pen, archival ink, which means once it's dry, you can't move it, and you can paint over it and all kinds of things. So what I'm going to do, I'm getting a little bit of reflection here, which makes it hard for me to see my picture. But I'm going to start just along in the bottom here. And the technique I'm using is really simple. It's basically just little kind of scribbles. What we need to remember is that this tree is, because even though it's cloudy, the light source is, I think, coming from above because it's so diffused. You'll notice along here that the branches, even though it's almost a solid line, they do kind of go up, like the branches are going up. And then up in here, we've got some areas where it's pretty sketchy. In other words, you can see through the leaves. And then even at the top, because it's fall and they're starting to lose their leaves, there's some little twigs coming out the top here. So I'm just kind of looking back and forth at the tree. And then over here, there's something sticking up there, and I can't tell if it's tree or if it's there's a tower on the top of that mountain. So in these spaces where the leaves are kind of sparse, I'm just going to leave some spaces like that. So they're thick and then they're not. So up in here you can kind of see a twig going up. So I might as well put that in right now. And then this is giving me just the outline, as I said, and when we get down in the bottom here, we're going to start adding more things to it, because what you have to look at is not just the shape of the tree, but the form, because it's not flat. So there's my basic shape of the top part of the tree. And I'll just put these branches in here now. And then it's, of course, they're usually not perfectly like ruler straight. I just came in from outside, and it's fairly cool out, but it's warm in the house, and suddenly it feels way too warm. So I'm just going to put that there now. Now I want to look at what's going on inside the tree, and I'm going to put some branches in here, just some little spots, You can't really see very many because of the fullness of the foliage. I'm just going to add more little curlicues here. And then there's some places where it's quite dark because it's in shadow. So I'll come back to a lot of that, but what you don't want is to fill the entire thing in. We want to give it some shape and make the form kind of obvious, but we certainly don't need to fill in every leaf. And I'm not going to, obviously. So I'm just kind of picking out some areas here where you can see some variation. Like for example here, you can see it's darker under here because it's a tree that has long branches. So this one here comes down this way, and then there's some more foliage here. And then going out this way, there's, like I said, kind of ridges where the branches are. I'm just trying to capture the shape of the tree with a little bit more elongated scribbles and curlicues, so that it's obvious that it's not just a tree bunch, you know, it's not just bunched up, but there's actually shape in it. Now in these areas here where it's kind of dark around this branch, I'm going to put in a little bit more of contrast, kind of underneath these ones that are looking kind of obvious. And you can do that just by adding more layers, basically. And up in here, there's not quite as much contrast because of the light. So I'm going to play up the contrast over in this side. This isn't something I do all that often, so it's a bit of a learning curve for me too. But my theory is you keep going till it looks good. And then there's a lot of leaves on the ground because it's fall and they've fallen. So we'll just put in some of those. And there's a few kind of in this tray thing, planter box. There's my silly tree. I can leave it as is. I can go around it with my eraser and take off those faint pencil lines, which I tend to like to do. Kind of cleans it up, but you don't need to. You can do a lot more to the tree if you want to, but I thought I would use a marker. This tree is not a bright yellow. It's bright in its environment, but I have some of these alcohol markers, and I don't have a really complete set, but I thought maybe I would just put a little bit of color in it. And then I think I've got some little bit darker ones, but I also have some watercolor ones. I notice I'm not coloring the whole tree in. I'm just indicating. Now I have to see if I've got one that actually works to add some more contrast. This one is called Fresh Yellow, and it's a watercolor marker, but it's pretty orange. And I also have one called Salmon Pink. That's a pretty good one. It's not pink to me. I have one more here. This one is called Marigold, which incidentally is my baby granddaughter's name. No, that's too orange. There's one more. Fresh yellow. This one is called Marigold as well in the alcohol markers. Come on. No, it's also too bright an orange. But this salmon pink seems nice. Oh, you know what? There's a little bit of green in here. Let's try this one on for size. This one looks yellow. No, that doesn't work either. I am not someone who uses markers a lot, but it's something that I'm kind of moving toward. Just using more different colors and different mediums in my work. This is actually quite a bit brighter than I really want. And then the stem is kind of a warm gray. That's a cool gray. And this says it's a cool gray. Let me see. They look almost the same. Blue gray. I would like a warm gray. I can see if you did this all the time, if you use these, you'd have to have every single one. Every single color, because they're not really very mixable. I'm so used to watercolor being mixable. This one works actually. And with acrylics, where you can create your own colors just by mixing. And then the concrete thing, you know what, I think I'm going to use this. To make it look round. It's interesting, you know, the more you look at something, the more details you see. So I'm going to put this blue-gray one on, just so that it's a little bit different color, like that. And a little bit of yellow down below the tree. Anyway, that's kind of a fun little exercise that you can try. And just go out in your neighborhood, find a tree that you like, or a plant of some kind, doesn't matter, and take a picture of it, or just, you know, find a place to sit down and draw it plein air, which means plain air, in the plein air, but it's pronounced plein air. There, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you give it a try. Do go out there and sketch, and if it doesn't look like the exact tree, that's fine. Draw it again and again and again, and you'll get better and better at it. So once I thought I had finished, I left it for a while, and then I came back and looked, and I thought that looks peculiar, because the branches along this side in particular didn't look real. It was just like a wiggly line. So I added quite a few more little touches, just so that it would look a little more tree-like, like that. And, you know, I could do the same over here, just some little variations in that line. And then I went in again with my color, just to emphasize them a little bit. And now I think it's done. So please subscribe to my channel and click the bell so that you get the notifications, and click the like button too, because that makes a difference to my channel. Be sure to use the link below to get on the waiting list for my upcoming course, and I'll see you next time.